What is going on, guys? Back here with another fantasy football video, and today I'm going to be talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, should we be worried about him for fantasy? Of course we should, and I'm going to get into that. And what I want to say is, coming out of college, I was very high about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's going into a great offense. Andy Reid usually likes to utilize his running backs. Like a Brian Westbrook. A lot of people were comparing him to Brian Westbrook, a good pass catching running back. Patrick Mahomes might pass for him like 5 times a game, and plus, it's a great offense. He might find the end zone a couple of times, and it hasn't happened. He's had some okay games, but it hasn't been to the point where you're like, I can't wait to start. I can't get to the point where I'm like, I can't wait to start Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's my favorite player to start in fantasy. And it just isn't like that. It isn't like that. He's either going to boom or he's going to bust every week. And going into this year, after the season that Clyde had last year, of course we were a little bit worried. But I wasn't making him priority in every draft, but if he fell to me, I was going to take him. You get that? Because I saw that he was fully healthy. The Chiefs beefed up that offensive line. They had Orlando Brown in a trade. They had J.C. Treader come over. They drafted an offensive lineman. They fixed that whole offensive line after the abysmal Super Bowl performance by them. And Sammy Watkins left. So I expected maybe they're going to not be fully running it, but they might try to, spread it out a little bit. Maybe a little bit of run and a little bit of pass once in a while. Take a little pressure off Patrick Mahomes. And it has not been like that. And even when they pass, it's not going to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's going to Demarcus Robinson. It's going to Tyreek Hill. It's going to Travis Kelce. It's going to you name it, McCole Harmon. And it's weird. They have a great offense. And it makes sense for fantasy, right, to pick him, right? He was a first-round talent. Okay, the offensive line is good. The offense is good. Patrick Mahomes, of course he has great receivers, but you would expect him to dump it off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire once in a while. He's a first-round pick. And Andy Reid used to praise him like he was a Brian Westbrook type. So you expected Clyde Edwards-Helaire to be good. Now, last year, a lot of people were praising him, he should go in the first round, which I disagree with. And I was right on that because a lot of people who picked him were very disappointed in him because Le'Veon Bell eventually came in. And no, of course, no one was going to predict that Le'Veon Bell was going to come over. But even before that, he was not doing that well. He had that great first week where he had that big touchdown run against the Texans. But he was very inconsistent. And that, if you know me, and what I try to preach on this channel for fantasy is that I want consistency with my running backs. Especially my running backs. I want consistency with my players, of course, but especially with my running backs, I want consistent running backs. Consistency with some high upside. That always helps. Here's what I would say. If you are a Clyde Edwards-Helaire owner, I'd wait for him to have a pretty good game. It doesn't have to be like a 30-point explosion. But if he can crack, let's say 17 points one of these games, or if Andy Reid starts praising him, which I doubt he'll do because he fumbled the other against the Ravens and cost them the game. But if he starts, so here's what I do. If Clyde has a big game next week against the Chargers, I would sell high on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If he has a bad game, I'd wait. Because you never want to sell a player low unless you absolutely have to. It's when you sell low, You know, it's just it's not good. It's not good. You're getting players that most likely you don't even want, but you just get them because, oh, I can't live with this player anymore, so I have to trade him away. Don't do that. Clyde has talent, but in my opinion, if he's not being utilized, what good is that talent? Of course, I'm not making an excuse for the fumble. You know, the fumble, yeah, it's his fault. He has talent. I wish they utilized him more, but, you know, they don't. And what I would say is this. If he has a big game, you look to an owner and you try to get a deal done and you trade away Clyde Edwards-Helaire and you sell high on him. If he, I don't know, if all of a sudden they start saying like stuff like, oh, Clyde, if Andy Reid and the Chiefs start saying stuff like, oh, we're high on him, we're gonna get him more involved in the passing game, we're gonna get him more involved in general, then yes, that would be perfectly fine to keep him. But most likely that's not gonna happen. Patrick Mahomes is still gonna be Patrick Mahomes, and he's gonna be airing it out no matter what. So here's what I would do. In recap, trade him away after he has a big game. Don't buy low on Clyde. I mean, if you have to buy low, if you need a running back for a flex option, he's not a bad flex option because he might go off one game. If you can't buy low, of course do it. Of course do it. But here's my thing. You're not going to see him get a big game every game. He's not going to get you over 17 points every game or 15 points every game. He's going to have those games where he's going to score 5 points or 6 points or 7 points or 8 points in that range. And it's not good. It's not good. So, yeah, in recap, wait till Clyde has a big game and then trade him away. Try to get the max out of him because you spent a high draft pick most likely on him. Anyway, guys, that's the video. I'll see you guys next time.